An Introduction to ARK. As the president of the ARK Group, formerly known as the Children's Center for Self-Esteem, I'm honored to have this opportunity to share the ARK program with you. ARK stands for Adults Relating to Kids. Working with teachers and parents, and through those adults with the students themselves, ARK is a systemic process that enables schools to create an exciting, optimal learning environment. Today I'd like to visit with you about one of the cornerstones of the program, ARK for Teachers. Those of you who teach are engaged in one of the grandest of human endeavors. You make it possible for civilization to flourish from one generation to the next. And yet, while it is of fundamental importance, teaching is one of the most difficult jobs that a person can undertake. Kids come to you from a wide variety of cultural, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds. They represent tremendous diversity in their values and in their attitudes toward themselves and their families. Some are from two-parent households, others from single-parent homes, and many are raised by family members other than their parents. Accepting them as they are and developing empathy for students whose culture is different from your own makes your job extremely difficult. Then there's all the pressure being placed on teachers nowadays to prepare their students to do well on the standardized achievement test. Add up all the time spent on classroom preparation and administrative paperwork, in addition to the time actually spent in the classroom with the kids, and there's little or no time left for interacting with other teachers and building a support network within the school staff. It's no wonder that in the state of Texas, during a recent 5-year period, there was a 72% teacher turnover. Teachers report 2 primary reasons for moving on from a school or dropping out of their profession. Number 1, they didn't feel like they were being successful, and number 2, they felt isolated, alone, and unsupported in their classrooms. They were burned out. We have got to correct this situation. A primary reason you went into teaching is because you wanted to make a qualitative difference in the lives of young people, and we don't want you to ever lose that sense of motivation. Teaching is too important to our society's future to allow you to either drop out or to become hardened and cynical about your job. One thing we want to teach our children is for them to take responsibility for their own development. Their homework is their homework, not their parents' homework. The grades they make will be the result of whatever time and effort they are willing to expend in becoming excellent students. The same is true of teachers. We are responsible for establishing a nurturing culture of teaching. Accepting that responsibility will make the difference in whether or not we are successful as teachers and whether or not we like what we are doing. Now you may be thinking, I don't have time to spend getting together with a group of other teachers on a regular basis. Trust me. The time you and your peers will spend together as members of an ARK for Teachers group will pay tremendous dividends, both in making your job easier and also in your creating a culture of teacher support that is a hallmark of every great school, the sort of campus where people look forward to going to work. ARK for Teachers offers 2 things that are absolutely essential in order for you to enjoy being a teacher. Number 1, innovative tools and techniques for working with your students, and secondly, a support network for you and your fellow teachers. Let's first talk about the tools ARK provides for creating successful, productive students. Newsweek magazine recently ranked a Dallas, Texas school with a student body composed of 60% minorities, is the top performing high school in America. When the school's principal, Michael Saturnino, was asked about the key to his school's success, he said that his teachers begin with the premise that the kids don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. We're not talking about soft, sentimental stuff here. We're talking about establishing an intentional social and emotional climate that is essential to an optimal learning environment. Let me tell you about some research that the ARK group has done in cooperation with the University of Texas School of Public Health. It helps us to understand what's going on in the minds and the hearts of the kids in our classrooms. And this understanding is critical to your being able to enjoy your job and getting through to your students. The research shows that young people perceive the world through the filter of their self-concept. If they feel good about themselves, they'll be positive and optimistic about life, and they'll view the world as a great learning laboratory. On the other hand, if children do not feel good about themselves, they will perceive the world as dangerous and threatening, and they won't venture far from their self-imposed limitations. This groundbreaking research study shows that a child's self-concept is composed of two elements: self-worth and self-esteem. Self-worth is fueled by performance. That much is easy to understand. Self-esteem, however, needs a little more explanation. You see, the word self-esteem has been misused and as a result has acquired a bad reputation over the past few years. What's happened is that the self-esteem movement mistakenly equated self-esteem with achievement and performance. It reached the point where some educators thought that if a student could stand up in front of a science class and breathe hard enough to fog a mirror, the teacher should give the kid a certificate for high achievement. Thank goodness the University of Texas study provides a new and much more accurate understanding of the word self-esteem. Self-esteem is not the result of a child's performance. It's the product of a child's receiving unconditional love or committed caring from an adult who is primary to that child's life. Whether that person is a parent, a teacher, a coach, or a counselor, it takes just one adult who will say to a child, "When you misbehave, I'll have to discipline your behavior. However, I really care about you, and there is nothing you could ever do that would keep me from caring about you." This gift of unconditional love and caring allows a child to value herself in spite of her imperfections and is the key to high self-esteem. Let's take a look at the self-concept triad. The UT research shows that self-worth fueled by performance contributes 1/3 to a person's self-concept. Self-esteem fueled by unconditional love and committed caring contributes 2/3. So, while self-worth and performance are important, self-esteem and unconditional love and caring are twice as important in terms of their contribution to a person's concept of self. It's important that we understand the distinction that we're making here between the words self-worth and self-esteem. A person's self-worth fluctuates with her performance, and she will have high self-worth when she does well and feelings of worthlessness when she fails. The good news about self-esteem is that a student can have high self-esteem whether she's performing well or not. The implications of the University of Texas research for the classroom are enormous. A student who knows that she is going to be valued and loved and cared for no matter what will be more inclined to attempt new academic challenges and will not be discouraged by occasional failure. ARK teaches educators how to provide the unconditional love and caring that builds the self-esteem and creates a positive self-concept in their students. When that happens, when you are intentional about letting your students know that you care about them, their improvement in classroom behavior and in their capacity to learn will be enormous. When we first took ARK to the schools, a teacher commented, "I love my own kids at home, but I don't have the emotional energy to love my students at school too." ARK's definition of unconditional love is that it doesn't require a huge emotional investment in your students. In fact, unconditional love isn't an emotion. It's an intentional decision to relate to kids in a certain way. The implications of this decision are that unconditional love separates the person from the behavior and values the student for who he is rather than for what he does. Unconditional love means that you commit yourself to continue to care about a student in spite of the student's inappropriate behavior. Another teacher said, "Well, what about permissiveness? By unconditional love, are we talking about permissiveness?" The answer is no, absolutely not. Young people need the emotional security of behavioral guidelines that are fairly and consistently enforced. However, while holding kids accountable and teaching them how to take responsibility for the behavior, it's important that we not destroy their spirit or lessen their self-esteem. ARK helps teachers learn how to discipline the behavior while still valuing the worth of the child. The most important tool you'll need in encouraging student learning is a caring, supportive environment. Two of the world's most highly respected educational consultants, Dr. William Glasser and Dr. Ruby Payne, both say that no learning will ever take place at school unless there's a nurturing relationship between the teacher and the student. ARK will show you how to create the nurturing classroom environment that is absolutely necessary in order to improve academic achievement, reduce classroom disruptions, and lower the truancy and dropout rates. We've talked about the tools that ARK provides for you for working with your kids. Now let's talk about the climate of support that ARK provides for you as a teacher. An ARK for Teachers group is a comfortable, confidential venue where everybody has an opportunity to mentor one another through the challenges, problems, and joys of teaching. The first couple of minutes of an ARK group meeting are spent on affirmations regarding who you are and who your students are as persons of worth. Then there will be a short video lesson dealing with techniques for creating a nurturing classroom environment and caring relationships with your students. The remainder of the ARK session is spent in a relaxed, small group share circle where you'll have an opportunity to talk about what's taking place in your classroom, and if you choose to do so, to invite valuable suggestions from the group. The ARK process provides wonderful opportunities for great teachers to continue their quest for individual and professional development. ARK for Teachers creates an environment that allows relationships of care to form, teacher to teacher and teacher to student. By offering a support network for peer mentoring, problem solving, and team building, it also makes teaching so much easier and fulfilling. You see, ARK isn't just a program. It's a process that creates an exciting, fun, meaningful culture of teaching, helps ensure teacher success, and makes teaching the joyful experience that you want it to be. Welcome to ARK for Teachers.